Me alegro muchísimo que estemos hablando del tema político, presidente, porque uno de los principales contendientes para las elecciones del 2016 es el exgobernador de este estado, Jeb Bush. La semana pasada él dijo que usted había sobrepasado su autoridad y que como consecuencia había afectado el esfuerzo para encontrar una solución al problema de inmigración y que las familias afectadas merecen algo mejor. Sin importar de quién ocupe la presidencia después de las elecciones del 2016, ¿cuál es la principal preocupación suya sobre lo que no va a poder lograr en cuanto al tema de inmigración? ¿Cuál sería el mensaje para la próxima persona que ocupe la Casa Blanca después de las elecciones del 2016? I can do this in English, you know. Let me do that.
Well, no. I got the translation.
Right.
We're
bilingual. I'm bilingual.
Let me make a couple of points. Number one, I haven't given up on passing it while I'm president. We're going to keep on pushing, and although so far the Republican Party has been pretty stubborn about this issue, if they start feeling enough pressure, that can make a difference. And so we just have to keep the pressure. Don't suddenly just let up, say, well, we just got to wait for the next 2 years or we got to wait for a judge. We've got to keep on putting pressure on members of Congress, Republican and Democrat. If there are Democrats out there who aren't on board on comprehensive immigration reform, although that's not the vast majority of Democrats are on board, but if there's some who aren't, go talk to them, push them. I'm not going to just stand still over the next 2 years. We're going to keep on trying to get something done. So that's point number one. Point number two, I appreciate Mr. Bush being concerned about immigration reform. I would suggest that what he'd do is talk to the Speaker of the House and the members of his party. Because the fact of the matter is that even after we passed bipartisan legislation in the Senate, I gave the Republicans a year and a half to just call the bill. We had the votes. They wouldn't do it. And then the notion that, well, you know, if you just hadn't taken these executive actions, if you hadn't done DACA, maybe we would have voted for it. That doesn't make any sense. That's an excuse.
Yeah, but
that's an excuse. Now, let me get to the broader question that you asked, which is, what would I ask for the next president of the United States? One of the things I've learned in this position is that as the only office in which you're the president of all the people, not just some, you have to be thinking not just in terms of short-term politics, you have to be thinking about what's good for the country over the long term. Now, over the long term, this is going to get solved. Because at some point there's going to be a President Rodriguez, or there's going to be a President Chin, or there's going to be a... The country is a nation of immigrants, and ultimately it will reflect who we are, and its politics will reflect who we are. And that's not something to be afraid of, that's something to welcome, because that's always been how we stay dynamic and stay cutting edge and have energy, and we're youthful. So what I would say to the next president is, think ahead. Don't say something short term because you think it's politically convenient, and then box yourself in where you can't do what's right for the country. Think long term. And what we know is long term, if you pass a broad-based, thoughtful, comprehensive immigration reform that makes the legal system smoother, that invites talented young people to stay here and work and invest and start businesses, if we provide a pathway to citizenship for those who have been here a long time, if we strengthen our borders, if we make sure that we're saying to companies, don't take advantage of undocumented workers by not paying them overtime, not paying them minimum wage. If we do all of those things, we know the deficit will go down. Economic growth will go up. We know that we can then really concentrate our resources effectively on our national security. Every economist who's looked at this says it's the right thing to do. The vast majority of businesses recognize it's the right thing to do. So think ahead. That's what I'd say to the next president of the United States. And if you hear people during the course of the future campaigns over the next several months and into next year, if all they're doing is demagoguing, if all they're saying is, we have to do something about these illegal immigrants, but then when you ask them, okay, what is it that you want to do, then they don't have a good answer. Or they pretend that we're going to somehow deport 11 million people, even though everybody knows that the economies of Miami, New York, Chicago, the entire Central Valley in California would collapse. So they're not being serious about it. If you hear people not being serious and not being honest about these issues, then you got to call them on it. But they'll ignore you if they don't think you're voting. And so it doesn't do any good to push candidates but not then back it up with action. And the action ultimately is going to be getting engaged and involved in the political process. The people who are least likely to vote are young people. So young people, you need to think ahead too. When we work on these issues, most of us, I'm going to include Jose in the category of being old.
We're the same age.
He looks a little better because, I don't dye my hair. But
I know.
I'm messing with him.
It's called the Obama.
No, man, that's natural. That's natural. But the fact is that we're going to be okay. The question is what's happening for the next generation. You have to vote. You have to get involved now. Even if everything seems like it's okay for you now, you got to be thinking about the future. And that's part of what has always been the great strength of America. We dream about the future. That's what brings immigrants here, is we're future-oriented. We're not past-oriented. The people who are interested in looking backwards, they stay where they are. They're comfortable. They don't want change. Even if there's an earthquake in Haiti, they still stay where they are. Even if there's poverty where they live, they stay where they are. Even if their religious faith is being discriminated against, they stay where they are. But if you come to America, it's because you believe in the future, and that has to be reflected in our politics.
Señor Presidente, gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.